Y'all, it is springtime, I think officially. Like, it's these beautiful days where it's a high of like 70 and a low of like 50. Feels so good. Wearing my first summer knit. This is a ranunculus, nice linen yarn. So yeah, celebrating spring, and it is time to celebrate books that are going to be coming out for the rest of the year. So I usually do 3 of these a year. Or like 3 of these for a year. So I did the first one back in November. We'll do this one, and then we'll do one later in the year to kind of round out anything else that gets slated for release. So my spoons these days are low. So we're going to take a little bit of a different approach to how I normally do these videos. And I am not going to duplicate any books that I've already talked about. So if you want to hear about some books that are going to come out for the rest of the year that I am interested in, I will refer you back to that video. I'll put up a graphic here with all of the books I mentioned in that video that have not come out as of April 1st. No fooling, but that is going to be my cutoff, so anything April 1st and beyond. So here are all the books I talked about in that first video of April 1st through December 31st, new releases. So normally I would kind of go over those again, but I'm not going to do that this time. And then I'm going to keep doing the thing I've been doing, which is just kind of give you an overview real quick of books that I'm anticipating based on either the author being an author who is like more or less an auto read for me, or a book that is a continuation in a series I've already started. So for mystery, either author or series wise, the ones that I marked down as this category are One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware, Mind Games by Nora Roberts, If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay, The Examiner by Janice Hallett, which I should mention may not be coming out in the US this year, but I'm pre-ordering the one from the UK, so I'm going to call that a 2024 release. And then We Solve Murders by Richard Osman, which is the start of a new series. But yeah, so all of those in mystery are authors that I have read and enjoyed something from before. For horror, the only one I had is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I thought his new horror release last year was really like thematically very interesting and fun to see him in a new genre. So I actually have an arc of that one already. So none in sci-fi fantasy. In romance, I have 4. So Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, because I love Ali Hazelwood. Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca, which is going to be her paranormal romance debut. Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. This is, I think, Ruby Dixon's, the author's first time writing under Ruby Dixon, a new book for a mainstream publisher. And I believe this is the beginning of a series that is with like a minotaur, so fantasy romance. And The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Meg Bannon, which is continuing a series I already started and enjoyed. And then the last one is a nonfiction book called The Age of Magical Overthinking, Notes on Modern Irrationality by Amanda Montell. And I'm interested in that one because I think she did a really good job in Cultish of sort of distilling a lot of online discourse into something a little bit more like thoughtful and well packaged into nonfiction. So those are all of the books I've either already talked about, or the main reason I want to read them is the author or the series. So with that in mind, let's go through some books that are either one-offs or I've not read from the author before. Try something new in editing here. This is just we're trying to preserve my spoons as best we can, so we're getting creative. I'm just going to pop up the synopsis so that you guys can read it for yourself if you're wanting to see why I am interested in something in more detail, but I'm mainly going to just touch on kind of the highlights. So for mystery, thriller, and horror, the first one I have is The Main Character by Jacqueline Goldis. I have not read from her before, though I was interested in The Chateau that came out last year, and I might still read that from the library. I do have an arc of this, and I am very much looking forward to the kind of like Murder on the Orient Express kind of angle that is being described in the synopsis. I really enjoyed Everyone on This Train is a Suspect that came out earlier this year, and I love a mystery on a train. So this seems like one that is definitely worth me at least trying. Glass Houses by Madeline Ashby. This to me sounds like a sort of more like techno take on an isolated close circle mystery, which is my all-time favorite trope. And so I don't know if this is a debut author, but it's definitely an author I haven't heard of before. But I'm excited to try a new author in a trope set that I know that I love. And then A Talent for Murder. So this is the new Peter Swanson. I have read a few books from Peter Swanson, and I've been at least okay with all of them. I know he's a little hit or miss for people, but this is apparently the third in a series, but I've not read either of the first two books. This one, I'm just like, I don't know, a newlywed librarian begins to suspect the man she married might be a murderer. That just sounds great. So it sounds like the kind of mystery I would like. So even though the first two books in that series have not appealed to me, this one does. I believe the first two books, I think the first one is The Kind Worth Killing. I forget what the second one is. But anyway, I know Peter Swanson is a little bit, I don't know. I feel like he's very popular, but I see very few people who like his books. But I've been pretty okay with all of them, so I don't know what that says about me. So there's that. Then kind of a thriller horror, I'm not totally sure, is You Know What You Did by KT Wynn. I thought this one was intriguing because of the sort of like angle of PTSD as an immigrant and how that then plays into your perceptions of reality. And it seems like, I can't quite tell if this is meant to be horror or not, because it mentions something in the synopsis about this person's visions coming true, which seems like it could be horror. I don't know, but it seems like it's going to be sort of like intense thriller, if nothing else. So that sounded intriguing. Indian Burial Ground is by Nick Medina, who I have read from before. And I liked his debut, but I didn't think it was well marketed. Like, it was marketed as horror, and I thought it was much more thriller, if I'm recalling correctly. And this one sounds like it's more, they're leaning more into the thriller side. And it's sort of like Secrets on the Res, which is becoming kind of its own like subgenre of mystery, thriller, horror. And it's one that I've enjoyed in the past in other books, so I liked the first one enough to give this one a try, potentially. Then Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geonveva Rose. The reason this one is on my radar is this sounds like horror, the horror version of if the Ken and Barbie murderers from Canada, if they had never gotten caught and had had kids, and after they died, their kids had found those videotapes. That's what I think the setup is, which sounds intense. And so this sounds like a really scary serial killer kind of book. So I'm gonna see some reviews of that one, but that is definitely intriguing me. And then Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. I wasn't totally sure where to put this. I decided to kind of slot it into the horror section. So I have not read If We Were Villains. I'm honestly not sure if I could read it at this point because it's so hyped up. I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't have fair expectations going into it. But I'm very intrigued by that author in that book. It sounds like it's being pitched as sort of a gothic thing, but there's like a group of people who all work the graveyard shift. And I think they end up like having to perform a ritual, or like they find an empty grave and have to do like some investigation. I don't know. This one seems like it's going to be, creepy crawly vibes in a way that I am intrigued by, and I think this could potentially be a really good Halloween book. So yeah, that one is on my radar too. Okay, then moving into sci-fi fantasy, I think all the ones that are left are still here because I've got some new authors I'm looking to try. A Magical Girl Retires. I'm mostly interested in this because anytime there's a big book that then breaks out of its original country and gets translated into English, I'm always a little intrigued by it because it means that it must have a certain level of popularity or cachet in its original country to be kind of like making that crossover. And this is apparently like millennial sad girl fantasy. So, and kind of like commentary on manga girls or something. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued by this one, so I'm going to keep my eyes open for it. Ministry of Time. This is one that my hesitation with it is that I can be a little bit of a hard sell on time travel, but the kind of like pitch is a time travel romance, a speculative spy thriller, a workplace comedy all rolled into one. And those are all kind of buzzwords for me. So again, I don't know that this is one that I'll read right out the gate, but I've got my eye on as potentially something that could be for me, but I'm gonna wait and look for some reviews on that. Snow-Blooded, I think sounds really interesting. The pitch is Princess Bride meets Six of Crows, so like fantasy heist, also in this sort of like wintry place called Winterstock. I don't know, I just think that sounds really fun, interesting, intriguing. And I think it's by Solaris as the publisher, and they tend to have sort of like quirky or like off the beaten path kind of books. So that also intrigues me. The next one I'm mostly interested in, frankly, because of the cover and the title, so good job marketing team. How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. Pitched as Groundhog Day meets Guardians of the Galaxy in a laugh-out-loud fantasy tale about a young woman who, tired of defending humanity from the Dark Lord, decides to become the Dark Lord herself. This sounds fun. And again, I'll kind of look for some reviews to see if it pulls it off, but if it does at all, I am very down to read this because that sounds like a tone that I would really like. Foul Days by Geonveva Dimova. This one I'm mostly interested in because I think it sounds it's pitched as The Witcher meets Naomi Novik, which is an interesting comp. And it seems like it's got like some mystery to it. So like a fantasy mystery type story, which is a genre blend that I, if it is done well, very much enjoy. And so it is the beginning of a series, so I'm a little hesitant there, but we'll see. We'll see what the reviews are like. A lot of these, I've got to be honest, a lot of these, because I'm so focused on reading what I own and reading backlist, I think this year more so than many, maybe very quick to use the library / like more scrutinizing of reviews that come out so that I'm only picking things that I'm very confident I'm going to be into. Another series, and again, it says the start of a series, and I'm also trying to be more judicious about starting or trying the beginnings of series because I try a lot and then I don't end up finishing the ones that I'm actually interested in a timely fashion. So I'm trying to focus more on finishing the ones I'm actually interested in. But The Daughter's War by Christopher Buehlman. The reason this one intrigued me is it sounds sort of like kind of basic bitch medieval fantasy, but much more focused on like the women in that scenario. So I don't know. I feel like I seem to recall hearing good things about this author with respect to his female characters, but I may be totally wrong there. If I'm right, and if I see good reviews, this might be one I'd be interested in trying because I've been watching a lot of Dimension 20 lately, and the idea of sort of an old-fashioned fantasy, basic bitch medieval world does sound kind of fun. I don't know. We'll see. Masquerade by O.O. Sengoyomi. I'm not gonna lie, this cover certainly is a part of why I'm interested because it's gorgeous. So once again, good job art department / marketing department. It sounds like, so it's based on 15th century West Africa. So I'm very down to have a different kind of reference point in history for the basis of the magical world. It sounds like it's got a lot of political intrigue, which is definitely something that I can and do enjoy in fantasy. So Yeah, this one, I think of the ones of these kind of like big high fantasy books I'm talking about is probably the one I'm most likely to go ahead and pick up, just because it seems like the one that I'm most likely, like the least risk. It seems like one I'm very likely to enjoy. So yeah, we'll see. But that one I think I have the highest hopes for so far of the ones we've talked about. Escape Philosophy by Victor Manabo. This is one that basically I just want to pick up because it seems like sci-fi mystery, which again, I really like speculative mystery, especially these ones that are like in space. That is something that works pretty well for me. So this one I think is going to be a library pick. And then let's see, An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I think that this one, if I'm remembering rightly, sounded like Magic School, but like with trope combos even on top of that I really liked. And I know that I like Alexis Henderson's writing because I read The Year of the Witching. So yeah, this one I'm guessing is going to be very hyped up. I'm also anticipating it. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious for the people who love her, what their response is. As long as it's not negative, I probably will go ahead and pick it up. And then The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one just sounds like it's going to be a big cozy release for the year. I'm all about this cozy fantasy trend. Give me more, give me more, give me more. So also it has beautiful like lilac sprayed edges. So for that reason, I thought I was going to get an ARC, and then I was like, no, I think I'm just going to go buy that because I want that copy of it. Okay, and then last but not least, we've got romance. So I've got a few in this category to mention. So Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is having her moment. She is hot, hot, hot. I love it for her. She seems like a lovely person when I've seen her on my TikTok For You page. So I have Part of Your World, which I'm planning on reading, but Just for the Summer has a synopsis that sounds great to me. So I think I'm also probably going to pick that up, and I might read those like as a pairing. So yeah, I'm assuming that's going to be a book of the month club pick, and I'm just going to grab a copy of that, but it sounds great. Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. This is a sapphic new release, a sapphic romance new release, and one of the things I realized last year is that I do really like for contemporary romance. Historical, any romance, but contemporary I've been struggling with a little bit in recent years, as well as historical, and I do like the sapphic angle because it takes out some of the like tropes that sometimes annoy me in historical and contemporary romance. So I think this one sounds fun because one of the main characters inherited a bunch of money and she bought this farm, and the other main character thinks that she still owns the farm. So it's like Grump Sunshine. I don't know. It sounds really cute. So I think I might pick that one up. Another sapphic one that's on my radar is Make the Season Bright. It is a Christmas one. I love a holiday romance, and this synopsis sounded really fun and, just like trope candy, basically. And then a novel love story. I think I have an ARC of this one, and I've not read anything from this author yet, Ashley Paston, but people really love her. She has like speculative elements in her books, and this is one where the main character is a professor who falls into a book and falls in love, I think. So I don't know, it sounds like an interesting premise. So I'm like cautiously optimistic / interested. Like I said, I've got an ARC, so I definitely will be reading this one. So yeah, that is what I'm interested in for the rest of the year that I've not already talked to you guys about. So like if you can't tell, I am going to try to be discerning before jumping head first into some of these new releases because I've been having really good luck with reading my backlist so far this year. A lot fewer duds. Not as many, still a good number of highs, but a lot fewer duds. So I don't know. Anyway, it's working for me. So I'm trying to stay up on what's coming out, but I'm also trying not to be too involved because sometimes you want other people to read it for you so you can find out if it's worthwhile. Anyway, let me know if there's anything that I have not mentioned that you think that I'm going to love that I should put on my radar. Let me know that in the comments, and let me know what book you are most excited about that's going to come out this year. Let me know that below. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!